welcome to this consultative explainer. Look, if you're an educational leader or an institutional decision maker tuning in, you already know that the landscape of digital education in Africa is moving at absolute breakneck speed. My goal today is to act as your strategic executive advisor. We're going to cut right through the daily noise, look at the systemic shifts happening across the continent, and help you position your institution for genuine resilience.
Welcome to the weekly EdTech analysis from Webhostville Services. Our mission is simple: to align technical infrastructure, pedagogical excellence, and institutional strategy for African education. We don't just track the news, we interpret it through the Webhostville 4-pillar AI readiness framework. Let's cut through the noise and look at what today's developments mean for your institution. That right there is our true north for this session. We're taking the scattered puzzle pieces of policy, labor, and technology, and we're going to assemble them into a clear, actionable picture.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the next few minutes. We'll start with the African EdTech landscape, then break down secure infrastructure, data governance, human capacity, strategic alignment, and finally, how to audit your own readiness.
Starting right off with the African EdTech landscape, specifically the structural, legislative, and labor developments shaping our world right now.
As an institutional leader today, you are facing mounting regulatory and operational pressures. And frankly, these external stressors are ruthlessly exposing the deep vulnerabilities in legacy administrative and pedagogical systems. Just to put this into perspective, let's trace a few recent pivotal developments. On July 9th, we saw the National Secondary Education Commission Amendment Bill transmitted to Nigeria's National Assembly, pushing for a continuous 12-year basic education structure. A couple of weeks later, on July 24th, APEC launched its 2026 Career Quest with Middlesex University London, really pushing transnational digital education pathways forward. And then on August 5th, academic activities at Adekunle Ajasin University were totally stalled by an indefinite industrial strike. Now, while these might look like totally isolated events, they're not. They are all symptoms of a rapidly shifting ecosystem that absolutely demands agile, unfragmented, and resilient institutional responses from us.
When external shocks hit, whether it's a massive structural government reform or a local campus strike, institutions with legacy vulnerabilities face an immediate crisis. Fragmented software, localized physical servers, and unmanaged sort of shadow AI, they simply collapse under pressure. The alternative we need to be aiming for is cloud resilience. And by that I mean governed environments, cloud-native student information systems, and continuous learning pathways that stay operational literally no matter what happens on the physical campus. Sustainable digital transformation requires us to move completely past reactive crisis management.
Which brings us to Pillar 1 of our framework, secure infrastructure, or what we can call the secure engine room. Now, what's really interesting about this is how foundational it is to weathering systemic disruptions. Without the right engine room, the whole shebang just stalls. When we run a systemic analysis, it shows us that new legislative reforms, like that 12-year basic education bill we mentioned, they demand that schools track unfragmented learning pathways over a much longer period. The critical flaw here? A lot of institutions try to solve this by going out and purchasing fragmented point solutions without securing an enterprise cloud foundation first. And that just leads straight to data silos and academic paralysis. The unspoken truth of all this is that true infrastructure resilience means transitioning away from unmanaged servers. It means adopting governed cloud environments like Google Workspace for education to absolutely guarantee your business continuity.
Let's move on to Pillar 2, data governance. We need to look beyond the black box.
So, once your engine room is secure, you really have to ask, what exactly are we storing inside it? As institutions adopt more digital tools, protecting student and teacher metadata becomes an incredibly urgent priority. If you're integrating digital and AI-driven tools, you must govern them by the FATE principles. FATE stands for fairness, accountability, transparency, and explainability, and algorithmic oversight. Think about it. If your digital readiness surveys aren't tracking how metadata is collected and processed locally, you risk violating strict compliance standards like the Nigeria Data Protection Act, the NDPA. You just cannot run a modern institution relying on automated tools if those tools are operating as a complete black box. When we look at empirical research evaluating AI awareness among Nigerian educators, it reveals some really sharp differentials based on gender and teaching experience. That's our systemic analysis. The missing data in all of this is that institutions are deploying these tools without auditing their compliance. And the unspoken truth is, well, actually, it's highly concerning.
Deploying unmonitored digital tools without adhering to those fate principles we just talked about risks deeply entrenching historical biases and entirely compromising your institutional data sovereignty. Governance simply isn't optional anymore. It's a strict operational and ethical necessity.
All right, shifting gears to Pillar 3, human capacity. Let's talk about AI fluency and ethical gatekeeping.
And this brilliantly illustrates the human element of all this tech. We've seen some fantastic workforce readiness initiatives recently, like the Noella Foundation's Life After School Summit and those OpTech Middlesex transnational pathways. But those initiatives highlight a critical misalignment between traditional university curricula and what modern digital labor actually demands. We have got to cultivate the teacher architect. So a teacher architect is an educator who has evolved from being just a passive conveyor of standard content into an active designer of AI-mediated learning experiences. If your teachers are just passively consuming software, your digital transformation is going to fail, full stop. True capacity building requires elevating our educators into ethical gatekeepers of knowledge.
The systemic analysis proves we are misaligned with the labor market right now. The critical flaw is that institutional technology adoption is severely constrained because our capacity-building programs so often treat teachers as passive users. The unspoken truth? Bridging the digital skills gap depends entirely on equipping your educators with deep AI fluency. We have to empower them so they can create resilient tech-enabled learning experiences for their students. Let's move to our final pillar, Pillar 4, strategic alignment. I like to call this the SDG 4 litmus test.
So, the crucial point is this: your internal digital systems must deliberately and intentionally synchronize with national mandates and global goals. Technology just for the sake of having new technology is merely an expensive distraction. Too many institutions measure their digital success by the sheer volume of software they've procured or the number of licenses they've bought. But the unspoken truth is that digital success has to be measured by actual improvements in learning outcomes and student retention. Global governance standards insist that AI deployment must be met with rigorous oversight to ensure it serves as a developmental equalizer. If your technology isn't directly advancing UN Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education, then your strategic alignment is off track.
Okay, bringing it all together, let's talk about auditing your institutional readiness and really navigating this shift. Navigating the shift toward institutional agency while aligning internal systems with national mandates is a complex journey. At Webhostville Services, we simplify this process, ensuring your technology infrastructure, data governance, and human capacity development work in harmony. If you are evaluating your roadmap or wish to discuss the practical application of the Webhostville 4-Pillar AI Readiness Framework within your context, I invite you to reach out to us at Webhostville Services. Let's explore how strategic alignment can better serve your learners. Connect with us on our website at webhostville.com, drop us an email at info@webhostville.com, or find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X at Webhostville, Instagram at WHV Services, and YouTube.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final, boardroom-level question to really chew on as you review your strategic plans. If a campus strike or a sudden regulatory policy shift shuts down your physical school tomorrow, does your institution actually have academic continuity? Or are your files, your learning pathways, and your progress all trapped on vulnerable, local legacy systems? It is time to move past reactive crisis management and build genuine resilience. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and thank you for your ongoing commitment to excellence in African education. Stay strategic.